Last May, I took you to the scene of a tragedy that had happened 40 years prior. But today, we are visiting something from 90 years ago. I first visited this monument a few years after I moved here in the early 90s. It's weird to think that this thing's almost 100 years old, and I visited it when it was only 60 years old. There's these really cool benches that are made out of the native coral, and the entire monument's carved out of this unique stonework that's native to this area. There's a nice plaque that was placed here, and veterans and descendants of the victims come all the time to keep this place up and keep it running. It's very nice. It's a very nice monument. So probably one of the most touching things about this monument is this low, flat crypt that contains the bones and remains of 300 victims that were cremated and interred here at this site. This low flat crypt, it not only memorializes this site, but it turns it into hallowed ground. Of course, this tall monument carved of stone and coral, depicting the palm trees and the wind blowing, that's what really stands out in this monument. But I think that this low crypt that contains the remains of the 300 or so victims, I think that's what's really more touching if you spend some time at this memorial. There's these nice carved stone benches along the edges. There's trees provided by these beautiful palms. It's a very peaceful, quiet place to come and reflect, gather your thoughts, pay tribute. So I came here in the mid-2000s with two of my boys and my dad on a trip to Key West. We stopped here and dropped in on the spot. Of course, they thought it was very interesting as well. Making memories. In September of 1935, a bunch of World War I veterans had been hired to help construct US 1, which runs right by here. And a huge hurricane swept through the Florida Keys here, and it just wiped everything out. Just wiped the place out. And it killed hundreds of people. Veterans, civilians, women, children, men. Hurricane didn't care. They didn't have the kind of warnings we have today that a hurricane's coming. And they were building this highway and this overseas railway. So in the year after that disaster, they built this monument to the victims. Let's take a walk around. I'll show you what's here. There's these very nice pedestals with information written in photographs showing the destruction and the creation of the monument, cleanup efforts. This pedestal shows the list of victims. There's this pedestal over here that shows the rescue train after the hurricane, and you can see everything's just been completely wiped out. Here's a map showing the path of the hurricane, as well as a photograph taken of the dedication of this monument, which was in 1937. This hurricane hit over 200 miles an hour. The barometer dropped to 26.35. And there was an 18-foot high tidal surge. That would have just completely covered this entire island and just swept buildings and people right out to sea. Just absolutely horrendous. So I'm going to suggest if you're ever on a drive down to Key West, stop here on Upper Matacombe Key, pull into Johnson Road and stop in the parking lot, take a little walk around this park and memorial. Pay your respects to the 300 plus victims who lost their lives to this surprise 200-mile-an-hour hurricane. Yes, going to the Keys is fun and lighthearted and enjoyable, and it's a big party in the Keys. Stop by the Hurricane Monument, pay your respects, gather your thoughts, and then go back to your vacation.